So first off, do you want to just introduce yourself, tell people
Sure.
who you are, where you're from?
Sure. I'm Sophie Hunter. I make alternative pop rap, which is I directly stole that from Ashniko, who I feel like our music doesn't sound that similar, but that is a really good descriptor for me. So thank you, Ashniko. I'm from New Haven, Connecticut. Let's go. I've been in Brooklyn for a minute though.
So do you want to tell me a bit more about, like, you said you're from Connecticut, like
I really am.
just how you grew up, what that was like for you, and then like how that led into you getting into making music
Yeah.
and becoming an artist?
Yeah. So I grew up in New Haven because my mom is an English professor.
Oh, cool.
So I spent a lot of time, like growing up, I feel like I spent so much time around professors, around a lot of like kind of like weird, like lefty adults who were really coming into themselves for the first time in their 40s, which is, I don't know, kind of a vibe.
Yeah.
It was cool. Like I mean, a lot of like really smart family friends, which is cool. But yeah, my mom taught English at Yale for when I was like little, and then she started teaching it when I was like 10. But we stayed in New Haven. I love New Haven. I really do love New Haven, even though I have really mixed feelings about Connecticut. New Haven is weird because it's the poorest city in the richest state in America. So it's very like a lot of incredibly different people living right next to each other.
Right.
I would describe it, it's like it was incredibly diverse, but like pretty segregated.
Right. Okay.
Like you can like walk 8 blocks and go from I have this really distinct memory of like being a kid, and there was somebody's like dog escaped, and I was like, oh no, we have to go get their dog. They're like running after their dog. So I'm like running after this dog, trying to catch this like stranger's pet. But I think I probably ran like 6 or 8 blocks from literally, I started in by this college called Albertus Magnus, and they're like a bunch of like mansions or like mini mansions up at the top of the hill, and you run like a few blocks down, and it's just like completely dilapidated buildings, just like housing zones like right next to each other, just like crazy income discrepancy. So growing up around a lot of professors, and my mom being a professor, my mom has like written multiple books, which is crazy.
Oh, no way.
But like not something that I would really appreciate as being crazy until like a really long time. Because just like all of the adults I knew growing up like wrote books. It's just like really common.
So you're like around that a lot.
So I wanted to be a writer growing up, because because that's like what was modeled for me. I was just like, oh, that's like a normal thing to aspire to. Even obviously, like I also like I wanted to do music. I wanted to act or whatever as like a little kid. But I was like, oh, everybody wants to do that. That's like everybody's pipe dream, and it's just a pipe dream. It's not achievable. Whereas, like, because I'm around professors, I'm like, oh, writing, that's like a normal, achievable thing to do, which is so funny. So I really got into music. Like, I love doing music as a kid. Like, I played guitar. When I was 10, I have an older sister, and somebody gifted us, they gave her a little guitar, and they gave me juggling balls. I don't know why. It was like a set or something. And I convinced her to switch with me.
Nice.
Score.
Did you ever learn to juggle or no?
I never learned to juggle. No, honestly, underrated skill set. Underrated skill set. Every time, juggling's kind of hot. I'm not gonna lie. You don't think it is until you see it, and you're like, damn. Whoo! I'm gonna stop.
Good to know. Any jugglers out there?
Any jugglers out there? Hit me up. So I started playing guitar when I was like a little kid, because I got that. Yeah, because I got my sister's guitar. It was like a little baby guitar, and I just did that for fun. I just knew a few chords and would just like play songs to myself, very like indie girl vibes.
Right.
Like in Ingrid Michaelson type shit. But I was also like always around hip hop though as a kid though. Because I feel like even like on pop radio, there was so much rap in like the 2000s. Like that's like Young Money. Like I feel like everybody just knew all the words to like every like Lil Wayne and like Nicki Minaj song,
Right, yeah.
and that was definitely like part of that. Even though my parents didn't listen to rap, I started doing slam poetry in high school. Okay. Yeah, sometimes you're insufferable and you need a hobby. So so I started doing slam poetry in high school, and then kept doing that in college. And that was slam poetry was actually like my entry point to music.
Right. Okay.
I would just like write poems whenever, like for fun, all alone, and then I started doing that, essentially that same process, but like over type beats on YouTube. And was doing that for a second until I got into a studio for the first time in 2021. But like I brought in those type beats. It was just like escalating that whole process. That was a long answer, but yeah.
That was a good answer. Yeah, okay, I feel like you covered a lot.
Good, I did.
But yeah, no, I mean, one of the things I like about your music so much is that I feel like you do have like such a distinct style to it and voice that feels very uniquely yours. How did you kind of like find that sound and like lane for yourself with it being so distinct?
Yeah, I still feel like I'm like continuing to find my sound, because it is really all over the place. Like I do have a lot of range, which is not necessarily a good thing, I think, artistically, especially if you're like trying to introduce yourself to people. I think it can actually be really helpful to have like a really keyed in,
like a niche,
like, keyed in kind of niche. But I'm not making music so that I, for a commercial, like I'm just making it for myself. So what comes out is what comes out. Alternative pop rap. It's all of like, I definitely feel like my music is all of those genres, but it's not necessarily like a like one-to-one blend of all of those things. It feels like all of those genres, but kind of like at odds with each other within the, like it's not really like settling on any one of those sounds. Yeah, I guess so. That's how I would describe the like the kind of sonic palette. But then in terms of like what makes my music sound like mine, is definitely my voice and my lyricism. Yeah, I think that lyricism, it definitely comes from like the slam shit, like you said. I mean, I like did a lot of that, and then also I think a lot of it comes from. I also did a lot of comedy.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I used to do like sketch comedy and like improv.
Right.
And a little bit of stand-up, except I was never really good at stand-up. I never really wanted to be a stand-up. So I also feel like that comes through too, the kind of like wordiness. And I also have like a lot of really crazy references. I don't know, I feel like it's pretty referential.
Yeah, I totally see that. To talk about some of the music that you've just released recently.
Yeah.
You just came out with your EP, Whale.
Let's go.
That's your longest project to date, if I'm not wrong?
Yeah.
Congratulations, first of all.
Thank you,
it's great.
thank you.
Do you want to talk a bit about that project specifically and some of your favorite songs on it, like the process of making it, the whatever feelings and thoughts and themes go into it?
Absolutely. So Whale is a 6-song EP. The oldest song on it is the last one, Biopic, and I wrote it maybe like a year before Whale came out. Right. But then all the other songs were written after I wrote Mic Check in March of last year. So they're all covering kind of like the same time period. And they're all like they're all very like diaristic, I would say. Okay. They're like me just talking about my life. So I knew that I wanted to release an EP. I knew that I like wanted to work on a project just because as an artist, like that's a really exciting challenge for me, and something that I'm like very excited to do more of. Is just like figure out a whole it's just like it's a different work than making a single, and I do feel like I kind of kicked my ass into gear with making an EP. I think post Mic Check, and people really liked Mic Check, and that sound also feels very me. Just there's like something a little like 90s hip hop, but also a little bit like like I love Amy Winehouse
Right.
growing
Okay.
up,
Nice.
and like Lauryn Hill. So that's kind of what I was going for majority of like the sonics of the album, which is in, except for the first song, The Siren, all of those songs are BeatStars beats. Mm-hmm. But then I also do have this other like part of my music that I really love that is really like more electronic, like club, like cunty, literally like cunt, my song. And I wanted to figure out how to kind of like marry those a little bit more, which I think is something I'm kind of still trying to figure out how to do, but I wanted to do that in the project.
Right.
So, well, it's 6 songs that are all like very much so about that same time period of being so fucking broke and just like making songs on BeatStars in my bedroom. Yeah, a lot of Whale is about like it's like so genuinely fucking insane to be making music as a profession. It just like it does not it does not make sense until suddenly everyone's on board, and it's really like crazy making to be making music day in and day out in your bedroom, like with fucking BeatStars beats, and then to continue like doubling down on this like really insane dream.
Like, push it further.
yeah. And I think especially when like the money is not there.
Right. Yeah. I know you brought up Mic Check for a second. Like that was one of the ones that really resonated with people. Got a lot of attention online. And one of the things that I've always admired about your work is how your visuals for both Instagram and social media and everywhere else really good, really eye catching, and like I feel like I've seen ones in the past where you were like rapping like on like the subway stations and like on the subway, stuff like that. Those were big ones. And with Mic Check, I feel like the visual that you have for it is very much like it's just kind of like going through like what you're talking about on the song with like these very kind of like humorous sort of deadpan bits in it.
Not look good, I have not been on my grind. I wish a bitch would not, please. I don't talk to my parents and my landlord is a Nazi. I'm loaded like the dice, still I bet I'm about to Yahtzee. I need one valid reason not to end it all. Chemicals. That's a good point, to piggyback, where are my edibles? Mommy's medicine, I'm a congenital. Bitch, I'm sick of myself, I'm sicker than hell it goes. Mic check, think I need a factory reset. Been swinging for the fence.
Do you want to talk about how you approach making the visuals for the songs, and do you do them entirely yourself, or do you have people to help with it, or how does that work?
So making visuals I think has that really like changes like with my artistic evolution, and is changing now, which is exciting. I think because now I'm like investing a little bit more in like longer form visuals as opposed to just doing short form content. But I'm so like, I've never been signed. I'm like, I cannot impress you enough how I have no fucking connections. Which means that I'm like I've spent a lot of time in like the DIY musician space. Which is, there's actually too much of, that's like a whole like kind of sadistic like cottage industry of like advice for DIY musicians. Easy to get lost in that.
In what sense? Like for...
Oh my God. Well, I spent so much time researching like how to release music effectively and promote it effectively
like DistroKid, like
before releasing it. Which I do, like, I think it's good to do some research, but I was definitely doing that as like a form of procrastinating actually making music.
Yeah, totally for that.
Which and it's really easy to do that because there's just like so much content about how to do like effective music marketing. But which is just to say that I've spent like a lot of time in that world, and like when I 2021, when I first started releasing music, I like was focusing on music videos, and then obviously just very quickly figured out, good God, this is not worth all the money. It's so expensive to make a music video. Even a low budget one, it's really expensive. So I really just switched to doing like TikTok short form. And but I do think that you can make like really interesting, like elevated short form content, which is what I wanted to do for Mic Check, because it's so it's so specifically drawing from my life that like those visuals are like pretty easy to get, and also like pretty directly explain like the lyrics in the song too. So for the visuals for Mic Check, I just like, I had my friend Rain just shot those, but I actually did like a like pretty intensive shot list even just for those short form videos. Just because I wanted to get the, also like, and then I edited all myself. So that's, and a lot of the humor too in those visuals is in the editing. It's very, it feels to me so like Modern Family, like editing style, like super digital, like
the pan
really
to like
quick
the guy
cuts.
that says chemicals. Like,
So that was the whole vibe there. Was just trying to like make a kind of like elevated short form content, and then I used those like original Mic Check videos to then make music video that I just came out with. But it was very much so like I like want to do like an elevated version of those short form videos, which is why it like looks very similar. The thing that sucks though is that like, so I have that it's like the very first verse of Mic Check that that has gone the most viral, and I have that one. It was like the first video that I released for Mic Check that is like the, you know, like carefully done shot list version that I like use to like base the music video on. And then I have another version of that same clip that's just me sitting in like a park bench or something that has like a million more views.
So that's just frustrating.
Like, so I think like make your visuals, you know, put your art out into the world, and also like you know,
like
crazy shit's gonna
social
happen.
media, like algorithms, whatever. Like,
no, absolutely. Absolutely.
That totally makes sense. What's like one thing that you struggle with when it comes to making music?
I make music really slowly. That's a big struggle for me, especially because any deal that you can get, so like the deal that I'm in right now, I'm in a distribution deal, and it's all, but like even if I was in a label deal, it's all based on like number of songs. So it's just like a very, I don't know, like I know people who like just shit out music, and then they're like they can get the other half of their advance immediately because they already have 50 songs on deck, which is great for them and so frustrating for me. I take a really long time to make music, which is something that I'm working on now, because I think there's part of that is good because time will allow for you to like hear stuff and like make edits, which is good. But that you do get to a certain point with, and this is, I think every musician is like this, you get to a certain point where you're just like, oh my God, I hate this. I never want to listen to the song ever again. And you need to finish the song by that point, or else you're going to be so fucked, or else it like doesn't come out. So that's a problem for me, because I also like, I record all the vocals myself, and I do a lot of takes too. I do a lot of takes, and then having to go back through and like comp all of those takes is really time consuming. And I don't use auto-tune. I tune everything myself in Melodyne, and I'm like really, in just like an obnoxiously painstaking way. It's just like it takes me too long to make music. That's like a big issue for me. So that's what I'm working on now.
Yeah. From other artists I've talked to too, it's like I've heard that similar sort of sentiment about how if you wait too long to put something out, you don't want to anymore, because it's like it's a reflection of where you are at the time, and if that time passes, then you might not be like still feel that same way. So
it's so true.
Aside from music for a second, just to like get to know you a little bit better, what is one thing that you're passionate about aside from music?
Oh my God. I'm kind of a like pop culture junkie, which is kind of annoying as an artist. It's like kind of incompatible. Like I wish I had some like really, really like offline hobby, but Yeah, no, I'm like I really love, I love all that shit.
Like music, movies, or like what do you kind of?
All of it, and I love like, I love celebrity gossip.
Oh yeah, totally.
I actually have a lot of like references to celebrity gossip in my music.
Yeah,
which is so funny.
I was gonna, when you said pop culture, I was like, I can totally like pop music.
I know, yeah. Which is like, I feel like not. I'm like, I can't get too famous because
because you've got like cakes,
because I need to still enjoy the blinds or
whatever. Right, okay. Yeah, it's fun.
But it's so annoying to be like an artist, because then it's like, oh no, I guess I should be considering these fellow artists as human beings and like not like objects of fame online, whatever.
You mentioned that you're originally from Connecticut.
Yeah.
Now you live in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
How do you think that being in New York City influences your music, if at all?
Oh my God. It influences so much, and also it's like not even in a direct way. I think it's such a like osmosis of just like being around different sounds and different colors, and I really will get inspired by like random shit that I walk by on the street. I will like take a picture of like I don't remember what, some like random street, like some one of these stores like a New York store that like it's like maybe a hardware store, but it just like sells random shit. And there are like a few watering cans outside that were all like strung together, and they're like, I just really loved the colors of them, and I can't stop thinking about that color combination.
Right.
I just like being around different sounds and stuff, I think is super influential. Sometimes I will like it won't even like whether or not that's somebody I know personally being like putting me onto an artist, or like hearing a song on the street like blaring out of somebody's car, and I'm like, oh my God, what is that? And then finding that song, like that happened to me not really recently. This was probably like a year or two ago, but it was, oh my God, I'm forgetting the artist name, but the song is You'll Never Find. Oh my God, it's like a classic song, like from the 70s. You'll never find someone who loves you the way that it's so good. But I heard like 2 seconds of it on the street, and I like entered, I was like on my computer, so I like typed in the lyrics, and I was like, oh my God, I'm mad at my parents for not putting me on. Like one of those kind of vibes.
I feel that,
Such a good song.
I totally feel that. I was in like a burger place like a couple of weeks ago, and like I was coming in just as it opened, and the employees still had like a bunch of music on because they were just hanging out. And when I came in, they were playing this one Alicia Keys song that I'd never heard before, right? And I was like, oh, what is that? And the guy went to go like turn down the music, and I was like, no, keep that on. I'm trying to figure out what that song is. Like, stuff like that. What would you say is, to date in your career, just like the wildest or like most interesting thing that's happened to you as a result of being an artist?
Oh, interesting. I was just on BBC Radio, which is really crazy.
That is pretty cool.
That's pretty crazy.
How did that happen? Like
TikTok.
Yeah? Okay.
Literally TikTok. This guy, Ramesh Ranganathan, has a BBC show called For the Love of Hip Hop. He like plays upcoming rap acts, and he found a TikTok of mine of like cha-cha, and then decided to put it on his show, which is crazy. And I got to hear him say it in his accent, which is amazing. He's like, and now it's cha-cha. It was great. So that was pretty crazy, being played on the radio in the UK.
Yeah, it's like internationally, like it's pretty neat to know that it's going that far. Yeah. That is, although like there are some things that suck about like, being like an artist in 2024, like with like, fighting with algorithms and social media and stuff, it is cool that like it's so easy for your music to be heard by people who are just like nowhere near you. Yeah,
and also like that would happen as an independent artist getting on the radio, like that is entirely just TikTok. Like, I don't know how, I have to imagine that getting on the radio in a more traditional, like there must be so many gatekeepers. I think you have to have a label who's like regularly like paying the radio stations, at least in the US. So that was really sick.
Well, that's about it for the questions that I have. But first of all, thank you so much for the interview.
Of course.
Is there anything else that you want to like talk about or like say about stuff you have coming up or anything that you have in the works?
I've been working on a bunch of music that I'm really excited about.
Nice.
I'm not sure how much more I want to say about that, but I'm fixing up for a cute little singles run for beginning of 2025. So be on the lookout. Yeah, you know, go Governors. Shout out 203. Let's go.
Let's go. Well, yeah, thank you so much. I will be on the lookout for that music.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
Cute.
2 shots of Patron, might just take your daddy home. What is that Patron and where the fuck can I get some? I get super gone, cruise control. I'm a supernova, burnt as fuck, I'm super over. Want you to take me out, baggage.